Coming up on Yow on Sports, New York City Mayor Eric Adams announces his plans to lift the city's vaccine mandate. If it happens, are the Nets the championship favorites? Plus, James Harden makes his Sixers debut, but what are the expectations for him in Philly? And the NBA MVP race is heating up, how one player is separating himself from the rest of the pack. It's Yow on Sports. Let's go. Welcome into Yow on Sports. I'm your host, Yao Bonsu. Today we begin in New York City, where Mayor Eric Adams is planning to lift the vaccine mandate. If it gets done, this would increase the likelihood that Nets point guard Kyrie Irving can play home games. Here's what Mayor Adams had to say about phasing out New York City's vaccine requirement.
I'm not going to get ahead of the science because I'm ready to get ahead of all of this and get back to a level of normalcy. But they're giving us clear instructions. They gave us benchmarks. We're going to follow those benchmarks. But I look forward in the next few weeks going to a real transformation that I don't have to wonder what you look like. I would know what you look like again.
When you hear that, there is, of course, a sense of relief for Brooklyn fans, but Irving still might not be able to play. New York City also has a private employer mandate, which requires vaccinations for employees of New York-based private companies. That includes the Brooklyn Nets, and as of now, Mayor Adams has no plans to review the private employer mandate. But if this does come to fruition, nobody, and I mean nobody, is beating the Brooklyn Nets in a 7-game series. The Ben Simmons trade was not only great because of the fact that Ben Simmons is a Net, but because of the depth that Brooklyn got back. Remember, in the Harden trade to the Nets, Brooklyn gave up Jared Allen, who's an all-star now, gave up Karis LeVert, as well as 3 first-round picks and 4 first-round pick swaps. But to now have Seth Curry and Andre Drummond, along with Patty Mills and Joe Harris when he gets healthy, the Nets have the best roster in all of basketball. You can talk all you want about how the fit of the team and how Ben Simmons will mesh, but the play style of Simmons works ideally with the type of talent that the Nets have. And if you combine that with a close to full-time Kyrie Irving, there is no team in the NBA that can go bucket for bucket with Brooklyn. And I did not even get to the signing of Goran Dragic, who has proven to be a very solid piece for teams before his stint with the Raptors. Eric Adams thinks New York City is safe enough to lift the vaccine requirement. That's great. But for these other teams who will have to play Brooklyn if and when they're fully healthy, it is going to be dangerous. Kyrie Irving said in a Twitch stream, just watch how our squad comes out of this all-star break. I, for one, fully agree, and there's no doubt that Brooklyn is going to make some noise in the coming weeks. Staying in the NBA, James Harden made his Philly debut last night, and long story short, he was James Harden. The 10-time All-Star had 27 points to go along with 12 dimes. His new teammate Joel Embiid also had himself a day with 34 points and 10 boards en route to Philly dominating Minnesota by 31. So we've seen Harden with the Sixers and what a fit it was, but then again, it was a small sample size, right? But considering the type of player Harden is and the type of player he has proven to be, what exactly is the expectation for him and the Sixers this season? Well, let me tell you, anything less than a finals appearance for Philly is disappointing. James Harden has more pressure to win than any player in the NBA. Harden brought this upon himself when he forced his way out of Houston. He brought this upon himself when he forced his way out of Brooklyn. If Harden and the Sixers do not make it to the NBA Finals, we need to start some type of dialogue as to whether or not Harden can ever win a championship. He couldn't do it with arguably the most talented Big Three in recent memory, but now you're in a city you love. You get to work with Daryl Morey, Doc Rivers. You have Michael Rubin, who you're good friends with. And then on top of that, you get to play with one of, if not the best big man in basketball in Joel Embiid. Everything is in Harden's favor to deliver the city of Philly a finals appearance. But let it be known, James Harden is not a superstar. That title is reserved for players who can actually lead their team to championships, but this year might be his best chance to put himself in that superstar tier. Now, if you ask me, Philly is not better than Milwaukee, not better than Miami, and definitely not better than Brooklyn. But we'll see how the season unfolds. The second half of the NBA season is underway, and one of the biggest debates all year long has been the NBA MVP race. But right now, there's only one answer as far as who the NBA MVP is, and that is DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan recently became the only player in league history with 35 points or more on 50% shooting or better for the 8th straight game. Not even Michael Jordan accomplished that feat. But when you look at the top 10 teams in the NBA, none of them have been as banged up as the Chicago Bulls. But it's DeMar DeRozan, even when missing Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball, among others, that has been carrying Chicago on his back. A Chicago team that is hanging with Miami for the top seed in the Eastern Conference. No player is doing what DeMar DeRozan is doing right now. The Sixers, the Bucks, the Nuggets, the Warriors, none of them are first place in their conference. But the Bulls are. Can you imagine the pressure to deliver considering where you are playing? The place that Michael Jordan brought to championship glory, not even Derrick Rose did what DeMar DeRozan is doing for the Bulls this season. It is remarkable. I'm not going to sit here, though, and act like it is not a debate, because believe me, it is. It will be till probably the last day of the regular season. But still, no one is above DeMar DeRozan in the MVP race. That'll do it for this edition of Yao on Sports. Follow me on all social media platforms at Yao on Sports, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.